advanced technologies have been transferred or collaborated with governments or
Alright gang, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are going to uncover alien technology at its finest. So right now, stick around. It's about to be a lit flight. We're going straight to the quadrant where all the copyright material's at. Let's start up these boosters.
Air 60450, I'd like to cancel flight following. We have the airport in sight.
Alright, we out of here. Let's go. Straight to the quadrant we go. Straight to the quadrant. Alright, we at the quadrant, y'all. We got BOBLAZAR who's gonna take off first. Let's go with BOBLAZAR first. Let's go.
It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends. It's just technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, we're talking about that science doesn't even know what gravity is, much less how to produce it or control it. And here is a device that's producing it and controlling it. Put a bowling ball in the middle of your bed, and then a foot in front of it, take your fist
That's how they do
push
it.
down on the mattress. Bowling ball will roll towards it. And that's exactly how the craft works. It creates a distortion right in front of it, and the craft falls forward.
So there's a different physics that we're not...
Well, the science that explains how the technology works.
Wow.
I mean, it's all encompassed as one thing, alien technology and science.
What's the message of your story?
The big thing is
So basically he's saying science don't even know about anti-gravity after all this time? I don't believe it.
suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression of unknown science. That's it.
Wow, ain't that something?
This is technology that doesn't even exist.
What was it about this reactor that made you think that it didn't exist?
This was a small reactor about the size of a hemisphere, about the size of a basketball.
Wow.
On a metal plate, and when it was running, it produced a gravitational field of its own. Now this is something that we can't do. We can't produce any gravity. The only way we get gravity is from large quantities of mass. But there's no machine we can have that turns on, that makes gravity. Like, you can turn on an electromagnet and it makes a magnetic field. We can't make a gravitational field. Anyway, this device was producing that. And Barry said, go ahead, try and...
I'm not gonna lie, BOBLAZAR kind of seemed like the real deal. They say that he was lying about all his encounters at Area 51, but I kind of believe him. Let's get into it.
Try and touch the sphere, and I could, it pushed my hands away.
So like when you take two magnets and try to press them together and
Yeah, you
push
have
against
that.
each other?
Yeah, kind of cushion feeling, but you can't get them together. The closer you put them, the more they push. But
And you felt that physically
with my hand. Yeah, now there's nothing that does that. And that immediately caught my attention.
Wow.
Going, wow, this is something else.
That's really something else, I can't lie. Element 115 is used to
Reactionless
hovercrafts.
Craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends. It's just technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, we're talking about that science doesn't even know what gravity is, much less how to produce it or control it.
Bob is sharp, gang. Bob is sharp.
Put a bowling
He's the
ball
only
in
one
the
that
middle
gave
of
us
the
this
bed,
info the whole time.
a foot in front of it, take your fist and push down on the mattress. Bowling ball will roll towards it. And that's exactly how the craft works. It creates a distortion right in front of it, and the craft falls forward.
So there's a different physics that we're not...
Well, the science that explains how the technology works. I mean, it's all encompassed as one thing, alien technology and science.
What's the message of your story?
The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression of unknown science. That's it.
That's crazy, guys. Hit that like button if you're just coming in right now.
Is there any internal protection for the crew? Does the craft generate a gravitational field inside the craft itself?
Right, that's a good question.
Generates its own gravitational field. Being inside that field essentially doesn't shield you, but essentially you're in.
Bingo.
This is a terrible way to say it, almost in a different realm, because you're now influenced only by that gravitational.
Right, inertia, y'all. Inertia is the name.
Like this can make a turn at such high speed, a 90-degree turn, when they would imagine people slamming up against the wall or something to that effect. Well, that really wouldn't happen. Inertia would have no effect. You're in a distortion, and don't forget that gravity distorts time and space. So really nothing is going to influence you while you're in there.
Describe
Bingo.
the gravity amplifiers for us and some of their different operating configurations.
There are 3 amplifiers. The craft can operate on a single one, can lift off the ground.
Ain't that something?
And those are amazing aircraft that don't have jets, rockets, propellers, nuclear power on them. They're using energy from what's called the quantum vacuum, or 0 point, which we can talk about. We just released a whole film about this called The Lost Century, which I'm sure you've seen. It's called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. But those aircraft have been operational since the mid-50s. So between 1940s and 1954, October, huge research and development where it's going forward at my uncle's company and others, based on the retrieval of some early extraterrestrial vehicles. And they figured out, they cracked the code, as it were, to gravity control, electromagnetic gravitics, back in October 1954. Now we know this date because a member of my team had been the top scientist at the Naval Research Labs.
Okay.
Who, of course, that lab is the largest Department of Defense lab. It was started by Thomas Edison. And he was in the vault, a classified vault, where he saw the document stating that. So many of these objects you see are in fact ours, and they're being used in illegal and clandestine operations. And the very existence of them is not known by the president and the key people in Congress.
You can send your questions to us and we will help you answer your questions.
That's crazy. BOBLAZAR's on point, y'all.
Video.
He's on point. I kind of believe him, man. I believe him.
Was 300 feet across, man-made. Think of it. Think of the length of a football field round, floating.
How are you able to tell which one of these are man-made versus ET?
If you're up close enough, the man-made ones are going to have components, protrusions, electromagnetic. They're going to be
right. That's what I said.
Marks underneath, or could be pipes and other things. It's very clearly a man-made machine. The extraterrestrial ones, seamless. They're extruded in this process of how they create them. Even the light they give off is very different because it's coming through such pure material science, extremely pure materials. Technologies and material science that are far beyond. Look at what Stephen Digna talked about, that Raytheon device. Out of 1 million people who would have seen or touched that thing, 1 million of them would have said it was extraterrestrial. No one would have thought we had that kind of technology. AI, organic quality to it. You look at his testimony carefully.
That's crazy.
Greer
right
believes
there.
that UFOs may utilize advanced space and energy sources to move rapidly and efficiently compared to traditional modes of transportation. He suggests that this technology could be based on harnessing energy from space or the surrounding cosmos. Some UFOs may be controlled or created by extraterrestrial beings, and that besides UFOs may employ technology to jam or disrupt human sensor systems and communication mediums, making them difficult to detect or track.
That's right. All right, now we got it. We got it now. We got it. Now we got how we gonna.
Some of the UFO crash retrieval material, we've looked at it and we found that the materials used are very strange.
When extraterrestrial material is recovered through military crash retrievals and its metallic structure is examined under a microscope, the metal is so pure that we could not replicate it, even in a vacuum in space.
Wow.
This is because extraterrestrial crafts are not manufactured on a Ford assembly line the way humans would manufacture something.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Everything in the material universe has a frequency and a corresponding sound vibration that creates and sustains its being. Extraterrestrials manufacture objects by first creating a resonant frequency. For instance, the frequency of a flying saucer. This is a sort of vibrational blueprint that interacts with the substrate of the physical universe.
So let me get this straight. When they are creating a UFO vehicle, right? A space traveling vehicle, first they choose a frequency that they wanted to travel on. Got it. Then second, when they build their craft, it will travel on that frequency. Got it.
Into existence from other dimensions, atoms and molecules that then organize and condense into the structure of the object being created. In this way, extraterrestrial material is literally manifested into being, like transdimensional 3D printing or Star Trek's replicator technology.
Right, the holodeck. The holodeck. Y'all heard of the holodeck, right?
Bob told us that they were going to test the alien craft that night.
Uh-oh, here we go, we diving in.
Back engineer to see if we could get that technology, but we didn't have it yet.
Well, you can mention who's with you, John.
We have BOBLAZAR, who is a theoretical physicist who works at Groove Lane.
And is also a dead man at this point.
Okay, good luck.
No, what, did you see that move it did? No, I didn't. It was like I kept doing
Told me in detail how the antimatter reactor worked. This is the antimatter reactor, and
antimatter reactor. That's how they're flying, with antimatter, guys. A piece of antimatter this small can power a whole city. Think about that.
This is where it sits in the middle of the craft.
Right.
Now, this is the craft, and the little orange spot is where the antimatter reactor is. These are the gravity amplifiers. They shoot protons into the 115, which bumps it up to 116.
So element 115, once you put the protons in it, right, or the neutrons, either one, it bumps up to element 116. This is the element that they use to hover the craft. That little red dot you just seen in the middle, that's that. Let's go.
16, all right. Which shows off antimatter, which is mixed with matter, and through a thermionic generator creates voltage out of heat.
Wow.
They are able to grasp the gravity A wave, which is available as the 116 is going back to 115, and they're able to take it up to the center of the craft and down to the sides and into the gravity amplifiers and focus on a point in space and then increase the attractiveness.
Okay, one thing for sure, two things for certain. How can they track a point in space? That must mean to us, reverse thinking about it, that the aliens actually have a map of the solar system, of the galaxy. Yeah. They got the map and they got the coordinates set into their craft to be able to travel around out there. Look at out there, gang. You have to, like I'm trying to figure out, you can't possibly travel with satellite. You can't possibly have one of those up there that we got. Where's that? Over here. See that satellite we got? That's my satellite right there. You can't possibly have a satellite when you're traveling around the galaxy. It's not gonna reach. It's not gonna reach. It reaches but so far. Let's go.
Of the amplifiers, increase the amplification that pulls that space towards the craft. It wraps around the craft, and then they turn it off.
All right, guys, check it out. The way they breaking this down, these UFOs actually don't fly. They actually roll like a ball and roll in front of itself. Basically, that's what he's saying.
And they're instantly hundreds of thousands of miles away. This shows pulling it towards you with the gravity amplifiers and wrapping it around the craft like that. Then you snap back. You don't actually snap back. You are back. This is an exact replica of a antimatter reactor that runs the ET craft. This half sphere comes off like this, and inside we have a little container with a cap on it. Now the cap comes off, and in it we have the 115. Now, the 115, we were given 500 pounds of it by ET. Some of it they made into these little triangles for fuel. So what happens is this is the little tube that they shoot protons out, which hits the 115 at the very tip like that. 115 creates 116, which instantaneously decays and throws off antimatter and access to the gravity hay wave. In my opinion, no, it'll never come out. The basic agreement between our government and ET is we get that advanced technology. We have to have their help in covering it up. If they have to lie or make stuff up, the deal is you can have the technology, you have to keep our existence a secret.
And why is that? What agenda do they have for that? Why
Because they are the ones that made us. They dreamed us up, they engineered us, they built us, they put us down on Earth, like hundreds of Earths just like this, and they use the same story to bring people together and understand that what they're trying to create is the humans, when they first become humans, to learn how to live with integrity, without envy, without hate, without greed, and to learn to express our love to our families each and every day. That's all we're here for.
Are they worried about us destroying the planet?
No, they take great.
All right, that kind of sounds to me like religion, you know. We gotta dig deep and find out if religion and aliens have a connection. Let's continue.
Care to be sure that we're not only can we not destroy the planet, there's no chance of an asteroid ever hitting the planet. We're not the only one. It just takes a long time from when a human is born with a soul to educate and mature that soul.
Unreal. Let's go. We are diving in.
We went out there and the craft was already outside the hangar and was just preparing to lift off. Now, they were in communication with somebody in the craft.
Now, this proves to us that they have a communication technology that we don't have. BOBLAZAR is actually breaking down. This was one time when he took someone out to witness a flight. And when they got there, this is what was about to happen. We're going to take it off from here.
Now, it's not a comfortable place to be in because it's small. So the guy has to be sitting on the floor in the middle, my best guess. It quietly lifted off the ground, which was incredibly impressive to see. It produced a little corona discharge from the bottom. A corona discharge is kind of a high voltage brush, little bluish glow discharge.
All right, so when we see UFOs in the sky that's emitting the blue discharge, right? This is a perfect example of what vehicle we're looking at. So we're gonna make sure we record in our brain what BOBLAZAR tells us, all right? The characteristics of this certain craft. So when we see it, we'll know it's the same craft, all right? Let's go.
As it was lifting off the ground, you can hear a slight hiss sound. As soon as it cleared the ground by about 5 or 10 feet, maybe even less than that, the hissing stopped and the blue glow disappeared. Now, if the craft is sitting in the air and you walk underneath it and look up, you actually cannot see the craft. The light bends around it. You're bending, gravity bends light. It bends radio waves. It's it shouldn't be possible to communicate with a craft that has an envelope around it that's distorting all forms of energy.
That's what we want to know.
The
How can they
spacecraft
communicate?
allegedly had 3 gravity amplifiers, which could focus the gravity A wave to allow the craft to essentially fall in.
Alright, so these gravity controllers they're talking about, I do believe one allows it to lift and lower, and one allows it to go forward and back. That's what I'm thinking. Let's figure it out.
Any direction, explaining their seemingly impossible maneuvers.
Right.
The technical and detailed nature of Lazar's claims, whether fact or fiction, have undeniably captured the imagination of many and have significantly influenced the discourse around UFO technology and potential alien propulsion methods. Today, BOBLAZAR's story continues to divide opinions and provoke debate, with many still questioning the truth of his assertions and the validity of his credentials.
I told y'all they still not believing BOBLAZAR, but we We feel him. He makes a lot of sense. I did a lot of research on BOBLAZAR. If you guys didn't research BOBLAZAR, you need to look into him now. He got it.
If you were to take an object, assume it's 1 ton of weight, and you were to move it instantaneously from 50 feet to 14 miles into space, which there has been observations of this, the total energy...
Alright, so space is 14 miles from Earth. Got it. Now we know how to put those in our GPS so we can have our Alexis craft get to space even quicker. Let's go.
Energy required for that instantaneous acceleration and deceleration is more than the nuclear output, basically, of the whole planet for a year. So, okay.
Wait a minute. Did he just say that a craft can be powered for a whole year with that little bit of a element 115 that they turn into 116? I don't know. Let's dive in.
And they're doing it apparently every second.
And this is real. It's happening.
It is observed visually by individuals, at least the instantaneous disappearance of the thing, but then it is observed by radar and other electronic means to be occurring.
That's kind of unbelievable. Hit that like button if you're feeling this content right now. Let's go. We're diving in.
They can phase in and out of this, say, 3D instantaneously.
Wow.
You could have one right over your building right here. And no sensor would pick it up because it's actually shifted the frequency of it out of linear space-time. So this is what I call trans-dimensional physics.
Okay, trans-dimensional. That's why a lot of crafts can't be picked up and why they was able to pull up right in front of the army base and dismantle nuclear weapons. Got it.
So those technologies allow for an object to be fully in 3D or shifted dimensionally, literally, out into another dimension and back. Now these are not interdimensional, they're more trans-dimensional because there are things on another star system. Their whole purpose is to create sort of a global militarized totalitarian super.
Wait a minute, so they are trying to put together a army? Is that what I'm hearing, guys?
Of the world fighting another world. It's like War of the Worlds. Okay. And that's been a 70-year defense plan. And I know people who've seen that plan. Carol Rosin saw the plan, who is Werner von Braun's spokesperson, who's on.
Wow.
And she's almost 80 now, but brilliant mind. And, you know, when she realized in the 70s that this was what was afoot, her whole life was devoted to trying to get some of these projects under control. But we're little David's up against an enormous Goliath. The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. But it's time for people to, actually realize that this is something they have to take seriously.
That's a whole fact. Y'all better take this serious. All right, if you're enjoying that content right now, I need y'all to hit that like button.
For the crew, does the craft generate a gravitational field inside the craft itself?
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field. Being inside that field essentially doesn't shield you, but essentially you're in, and this is a terrible way to say it, almost in a different realm, because you're now influenced only by that gravitational field. For instance.
Now that's crazy right there. Hold on, y'all. We're going to travel to another quadrant. Let's get to another quadrant. We got to move around because I know it's a lot of stuff going on here. Let's go. We on the way. New quadrant. Let's get it.
People wonder how a craft like this can make a turn at such high speed, a 90-degree turn, when they would imagine people slamming up against the wall or something to that effect. Well, that really wouldn't happen. Inertia would have no effect. You're in a distortion, and don't forget that gravity distorts time and space. So.
Well, I hope you do, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Well, I want to know what you've seen though. So you've seen this piece of metal. What else have you seen?
I've seen many documents on the studies of these things, and I've seen a lot of the science associated with what the technology is and what it does. Like,
please give us a good example. Don't waste our time, please.
I could show you if I fold up pieces of paper and stuff what's going on with it, but basically these craft, they travel in a straight line, but they're folding space-time.
Like in Event Horizon, where they explain it by folding a piece of paper and punching a pencil through it. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Fucking movie.
But it's more like, here.
Let's dive right in this. We going deep. We in the new quadrant. Check it out.
Center antenna is really an extension of the reactor in the center, and that's a waveguide, which allows the emission of the gravity wave, which forms kind of a heart shape over the whole craft. That's how it creates its distortion. These gravity emitters can be swung all the way up to 180 degrees, and this allows the craft to essentially stand on two of them and hover, while this one swings up and creates a distortion in front of it, allowing the craft to slide forward. So that's how they're low power mode.
All right, let's check this out. I need you guys to look at this diagram. All right, let's study this diagram because they never ever show us what we're seeing now. This is all new information. Hit that like button right now if you learned something. Let's go.
Omicron configuration.
Omicron, element 115. I told you guys, and they just told us that they injected with protons and turned it to element 116. Let's go.
The Delta configuration uses all three.
Okay.
They actually fly belly first. The craft flies along, leaves the atmosphere of the planet. It turns its belly to the destination. The three amplifiers focus in on the destination, and that's how it proceeds.
Wow, that's some deep. Wow. So they're actually patenting UFOs when they make them over here on the planet. They turn it into a business, guy. It's turning into a business, dog.
Or has it just been kept hidden?
Wow. So you mean to tell me it's the government who patented? Wow. Unbelievable.
It's a little model UFO that I've got, and I'm going to use it to try and explain to you how anti-gravity works, how anti-gravity UFOs work. Okay. Now, before I start, I need to first explain a little bit about the characteristics of UFO sightings. Now, UFOs on radar are often seen to go through 90-degree angles to change their direction almost.
Right.
Or from a standing start on a single radar sweep, they'll be 200 miles away. So they can produce changes in direction and acceleration, which, if performed by a conventional aircraft, would basically kill the occupants inside because they wouldn't be able to go through
That's a fact.
changes in direction.
And they would shake the plane apart probably as well, wouldn't they?
It would, yeah. Now, this isn't just a few people that have reported this kind of activity. There are many radar operators who report this, and thousands of pilots have also reported this characteristic movement. Now, in order to explain why they move in that way, we need to just understand a little bit about gravity. Now, I explained in my last series on UFOs how the Earth, if we consider the Earth is in a gravity well. So if you think of it in a well, the gradient on the well is representative of the attraction of the Earth to all other objects. Okay, so the Earth attracts other objects because it's essentially in a well.
Like the moon?
Like the moon. The moon is also in its own gravity well. Anything which has a large mass exhibits a gravity well which attracts mass towards it.
But the moon is in our gravity well, isn't it?
Well, it's in its own gravity well, and the Earth is the moon is in the Earth's gravity well, which is effectively rolling round the edge of the Earth's gravity well, which is why it's in orbit.
So it's like a pocket of a snooker table or something.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you were able to produce a gravity well which was somewhere away from the Earth, another piece of gravity which would have the same effect, if you were to place an object in between the Earth and that piece of gravity, or that other gravity well, okay, you could get the two to balance out. So the object would essentially just stay in midair. And this is how anti-gravity works. Anti-gravity really is probably not the right term. I would use the word other gravity. So if you imagine the UFO is here, and the Earth is here, okay, and it generates a gravity well. Now, I'll just switch on the anti-gravity.
It sounds to me like he's just refurbishing some information.
Now,
lights out.
So the gravity well that the UFO is generating is represented by this black disk. Okay? So the Earth's down here. So under normal circumstances, the UFO would just fall to the Earth as any other object would. But when it generates this gravity well here, okay, the gravity well is pulling the UFO up in equilibrium to what it's being pulled down by the Earth. So now, physicists listening would say, no, you can't generate a gravity well, that's impossible. The only way to generate a gravity well is by having a large mass.
Ever seen a photo of a being from another dimension? Daniel Names, a scientist and inventor from Colombia, has developed a groundbreaking technology that claims to capture images of multi-dimensional beings. As a teenager, Daniel Nemes had a passion for science and astronomy. Today, he's a scientist and inventor in Colombia, claiming he can photograph interdimensional beings. His interest in the multi-dimensional universe began after reading about dark matter. He then devised technology through optical experiments and mathematical calculations to capture images of these beings. Nemes combined special lenses with sunlight and ultra-sensitive screens to create what he calls energy vision. This technology captures images of unknown origin from other planes of existence, showing various interdimensional beings and creatures. Despite the potential, NASA and other companies haven't accessed his invention. Nemes claims the media has silenced his discovery, but he's published over 1,000 images on Facebook since 2015. Nemes faced rejection and insults initially, but now his images are gaining recognition. He said, "The only way I can publicize my invention and captures is through Facebook. When I started, I faced a lot of rejection and insults. Fortunately, my images are now more known, and it's rare to receive disqualification or insult." The photos are undeniably strange, with many showing odd figures or faces, leaving you with an eerie yet astonishing feeling. So what do you think? Could Nemes' invention be the key to uncovering other dimensions? Or is it just a wild claim? Let us know your thoughts.
It might be a wild claim. What do y'all think?
Don't
Get in the
forget
comment
to like
section.
and
Let me know
follow
what
for
you
more
think.
mind-blowing discoveries and mysteries.
We definitely getting to the meat and potatoes tonight. We getting to the meat and potatoes tonight. Let's go.
Anything that you've seen in Star Trek and can imagine, we've done at the Lockheed Skunk Works. Not at Area 51, but at the desert base.
Wow.
Well, you know, everyone talks about Area 51. That's an old one. It's still operational. A more state-of-the-art one is actually in the Dugway Proving Grounds, which is in Utah.
I'm going to put a picture up of it right now.
That facility, there's something called the Avery Sector. There's a vast underground facility there where there are these assets. There's an extraterrestrial vehicle that was being studied there. They're down by these electromagnetic pulse weapons. The ET craft are completely electromagnetic.
So they're downing these aircraft with basically a directed EMP weapon.
You know, a kinetic weapon would not be so effective. Missile or a laser. But an electromagnetic pulse or scalar weapon stuns them and they'll come down. Sometimes they crash, sometimes they're intact. If they're intact, then you have the whole thing to study. This man.
Wow, he just gave us the sauce. He just gave us the sauce. They can't be shot down with missiles and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They need EMPs and all that. Be electromagnetic defense. That's what we're gonna get us. We're gonna get us some electric magnetic defense, gang.
And it was in a facility where they had an entire intact one.
Wow. Yeah, that's what we need. We need electromagnetic defense.
Reactionless craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends. It's just technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, you're talking about that science doesn't even know what gravity is, much less how to produce it or control it. And here is a device that's producing it and controlling it. Put a bowling ball in the middle of your bed, and then a foot in front of it, take your fist and push down on the mattress. Bowling ball will roll towards it. And that's exactly how the craft works. It creates a distortion right in front of it, and the craft falls forward.
So there's a different physics that we're not...
Well, the science that explains how the technology works. I mean, it's all encompassed as one thing, alien technology and science.
What is the big picture? What is the takeaway of your story after you're gone? You're not a rebel kid with a jet car at Los Alamos today. Today's a different Bob Lazar, right?
Right.
What have we learned? What's the message of your story?
The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology.
Right.
And the suppression of unknown science. That's it.
That's it.
It's a
We're on our way to another quadrant. in a whole nother quadrant now. We're studying alien technology and the stuff that they use to power their crafts, because their crafts are made seamless. You see what that's in the sky right now? That's a seamless craft. There's no rivets, there's no screws, there's no bolts, nothing holding together. It's nothing welded. Look, this is seamless. This is alien tech. Check it out. This is alien tech at its finest. It's seamless. Check it out, gang. It is in the sky, like it just don't care. Check it out. What are they showing us now? A reflection? I didn't. Crazy.
We're dancing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take off.
And if that wasn't enough, we're attempting.
They have been having the largest drone shows on the planet, and they have been going viral everywhere. And you don't see performances like this every day. These drones will light up the sky. A lot of people will state that they see these unknown flying objects in the sky.
Okay, here we go. This is anti-gravitational, B. They got the magnet set up. Wow. They got it down to a science, gang. So you know they flying around like we are. That's a whole fact. They must have a craft like we do. They must do. This is the technology we got in here. How did they know about this? They reverse engineered, y'all. They got it. Make sure y'all share this video right now. Leave a comment. Let me know if you ever thought this whole thing was like magnetic. They got it. Usable electricity. Wow.
Actually seen what you believe may well be alien technology and implant?
Whoa.
I have. What did you see?
I saw a technical device that had been removed, excised by the Department of Veterans Affairs by a surgeon, a trained physician from a U.S. military service member who claimed to have a UAP encounter. The physician claimed that the object tried to run on him or evade being excised.
So let me get this right. This object, whatever it is, it's a constructed object. It's a technological object.
It's a technological object enveloped in some sort of biological capsule.
What?
The current theory is that that capsule is there to fool the body as not to create some sort of immune response to a foreign object.
The physician who spoke to him described that object. Apparently,
this device
Too much
right here
music
has
in this
sent me
quadrant.
down the deepest rabbit hole. And that's because this is a source of free energy that has a very mysterious history and could be linked to UFOs.
For several years now, a small group of scientists here has been investigating a strange new space-age metal, a nickel-titanium alloy called nitinol.
In cold water, nitinol turns soft. Bend it and it stays bent, but in hot water it springs back with forces as high as 55 tons a square inch. No one knows quite why this happens. Several years ago, McDonnell Douglas began experimenting with nitinol in the form of springs. At room temperature, the nitinol wire springs bend easily, but in warm water they spring back, thus forcing the wheel around. Even stranger, nitinol wires get stronger the more they're used. They develop a double memory. They not only contract in the warm water, but they begin to stretch.
Did he just say metal has a memory? Did I just hear that, guys? Am I bugging, guys? Did I just hear him say metal has a memory?
Memorial Institute to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio in 1949. And of course, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is known for allegedly storing the crashed UFO that happened in Roswell in 1947, which was just 2 years before this contract was written. And in this document, they're talking about the different alloys that they're testing, and they're giving a progress report on those tests. And at this time, Nightingale went by a different name. And a lot of the serious UFO researchers believe that the Battelle Memorial Institute was the organization that was given the contract to examine and test all the metals that were retrieved from the Roswell crash.
Right.
And one more interesting thing about Battelle is that they are the same organization that invented coating and metals that were used on spy planes that were then later used on the U-2 and the SR-71.
What? That's crazy. They used to make the toys we used to play with, gang. They look like they fall off right there. They might have the, yeah, they fall off.
You said video. What was do you remember the first thing that you saw?
Boy, there's so many. You know, I think part of the challenge is that most people here in this country, they're familiar with the 3 videos, right, that have been famously released by the Pentagon.
The Go Fast,
Gimbal, FLIR, correct.
Right.
But those are
the trolls. Trolls in a second.
This technology has been called hidden for more than 80 years, and today the United States has been denying its existence, because once this technology is really popular, it can give rise to another technological revolution of mankind, and even it
Now they talking about 0-point energy. That's what we using to fly around right now, y'all. We in the quadrant, man. Yo, this is crazy right here, gang. This is crazy right here, because now we're starting to get into the real meat and potatoes. Let's go.
has the danger of changing the world,
yeah, it
or
does.
has it just been kept hidden?
Nah, it exists. It really does. Hit that like button, y'all. Come on in. Let's go. We are diving in the quadrant. We're in space doing content. Let's go.
So I'm a truck driver. Driving back from Yuma, Arizona. And I look up in the sky and I see this thing. I have no idea what that thing is.
What do you see?
Try to zoom in on it for you here.
I see it. I'm locked on.
It's not hard to tell. It's what I'm looking at. Okay, hang on. There, that thing. What is that? Just float.
Looks like a triangle. Something's hovering though.
No idea what that is.
That looks like that white ship that took off from the hangar we just was watching. Good stuff in this quadrant, I guess.
But
if they was able to shoot it down, then that means they have the technology to shoot it down. That means they have the particle beam. That means they stole the beam from our guy, Nikola Tesla. Let's go.
Coordinated the operation. Assistance from the Alaska Air National Guard, Federal Aviation Administration, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Does the United States military have UFO technology?
Looks like CGI to me, guys. Guys, looks like CGI. What do you think?
Now watch the video in slow motion.
They said it goes belly first to the destination, so this might be a good reenactment, guys. This might be a good reenactment because these guys must have did their research when they made it. He said it travels belly first. That's the movement of this one. That's crazy.
I saw a technical device that had been removed, excised by the Department of Veterans Affairs by a surgeon, a trained physician from a U.S. military service member who claimed to have a UAP encounter. The physician claimed that the object tried to run on him or evade being excised.
So let me get this right. This object, whatever it is, it's a constructed object.
It's
a
them orbs.
technological
These the
object.
orbs, guys.
A technological object enveloped in some sort of biological capsule. The current theory is that that capsule is there to fool the body.
And joining me this morning is
What
News
the
Nation
hell?
special correspondent Ross Coulthart. Ross, great to see you again. I'm excited about this interview because it's a question the human race has pondered since the dawn of time. Are we alone?
Let's see
What
if he
did Lou
answers it
tell
right.
you? And if we are not alone, according to him, why isn't the American government sharing that with us?
Let's see if he cap
Well,
us.
firstly, good morning. And can I say, Lou says definitively we are not alone. In quite an extraordinary interview.
He kept it real. He kept it real. He kept it real. He might have kept it too real. Because I know this guy be watching his content. And he's not a capper. At all.
The former head of the Pentagon's UFO investigation program, he goes out the gate and charges, and he's basically saying Roswell was real. And then you've got that wonderful science fiction sounding admission that he makes that they actually pulled some kind of non-human implant out of a human being, a veteran, who was in a UAP encounter, and that this implant, in some way, Hannah, tried to evade being caught by the surgeon that was trying to remove it.
So is there a
That's
bigger
great.
question
Do you
now
hear?
about finding
Hey
out
guys.
how these
Hey guys. Could you imagine taking a bullet out your body and it doesn't want to let the surgeon catch it in his hand? It keeps going out his hand trying to leave the... This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
aliens feel about us on our planet and the human race?
Well, you and I think, are probably taking it more for granted than a lot of members of the American public. I mean, I take it as a given because of the number of people that I've spoken to in the Defense Department and the intelligence community who candidly admit that a non-human intelligence is engaging with the people of this planet. But I think most people still want firm, solid proof, and they'd like to hear it from the president standing at a lectern in the White House basically saying we are not alone. I don't think we're ever going to get that. I think ultimately what's going to come is a gradual disclosure because of people like Mr. Elizondo coming forward from within the black world and revealing what they know. And I know some of these people. I know people who work on what they purport to be a crash.
Let me tell y'all something. That's why y'all gotta watch these videos and y'all gotta support the content creators that's helping get y'all this content. Because y'all not gonna find it on y'all own. Y'all not gonna find it. Y'all gotta
Ever seen a photo
support
of
the
a
content
being from another dimension? Daniel Names, a scientist and inventor from Colombia, has developed a groundbreaking technology that claims to capture images of multi-dimensional beings. As a teenager, Daniel Nemes had a passion for science
See
and
that?
astronomy.
See
Today,
that? Now he has figured out how to take pictures of multi-dimensional beings. You would call some people in religion they call them spirits, they call them demons, they call them jinns. This is crazy. Let's check it out.
He's a scientist and inventor in Colombia, claiming he can photograph interdimensional beings. His interest in the multi-dimensional universe began after reading about dark matter. He then devised technology through optical experiments and mathematical calculations to capture images of these beings. Nemes combined special lenses with sunlight and ultra-sensitive screens to create what he calls energy vision. This technology
Energy vision, we
captures
spoke
images
about
of
that.
unknown origin from other planes of existence, showing various interdimensional beings and creatures. Despite Despite the potential, NASA and other companies haven't accessed his invention. Nemes claims the media has silenced his discovery.
Wow, you know what that must mean? That must mean they already in cahoots. Yeah. They already in cahoots, so they don't need him. His technology is like slow. It's dope, but it is a little slow.
But he's published over 1,000 images on Facebook since 2015.
We're gonna check him out.
Nemes faced rejection and insults initially, but now his images are gaining recognition. He said, "The only way I can publicize my invention and captures is through Facebook. When I started, I faced a lot of rejection and insults. Fortunately, my images are now more known, and it's rare to receive disqualification or insult." The photos are undeniably strange, with many showing odd figures or faces, leaving you with an eerie yet astonishing feeling. So what do you think? Could Nemes' invention be the key to uncovering other dimensions?
What do you guys think? I think it just might be.
Anything that you've seen in Star Trek and can imagine we've done at the Lockheed Skunk Works.
We have in Lockheed right now, there are craft that can go to Mars in a few hours.
1. Cover. With no pilot to compromise performance, even more unusual craft and propulsion systems have been designed and tested. This incredible machine was originally designed to shoot down nuclear missiles and satellites.
Yeah.
Just 12 inches long, gyroscopically balanced, and with thrusters at key points around its body, it is capable of instant changes of direction.
This is their new technology for the Army.
Cover tracking. Cover. Roll. All right. No airplane could ever catch this machine.
Wow. Ain't that something?
What was it about this reactor that made you think that it didn't exist?
With some of the UFO crash retrieval material, we've looked at it and we found that the materials used are very strange.
Wow.
When extraterrestrial material is recovered through military crash retrievals and its metallic structure is examined under a microscope, the metal is so pure that we could not replicate it,
wow,
even in a vacuum in space. This is because extraterrestrial crafts are not manufactured on a Ford assembly line the way humans would manufacture something.
Crazy, neighbor.
Hey, coochie coochie.
You know what is a much better story to me is the Transformers, the origin story of the Transformers. The claim is they were found and came into the Arctic or wherever. No one saw it happen except the military because we're monitoring the Arctic. Then they get captured and we want to mine them for the technology that's in them. But we want to do it in a way nobody knows. So where do you do this? Oh, let's build a dam. So the Hoover Dam was the cover project for the analysis of the Transformers that we captured. And then, beginning in the 1930s, we catapulted. Quantum physics was invented, lasers were invented, miniaturization of electronics was invented, and it was all claimed to be traceable to this new technology that we reverse engineered, beginning with that research lab. I thought that was brilliant. The rest of it, no. When they're fighting each other, I'm Optimus Prime. No, I'm not.
Hey, guys.
Hey, coochie coochie, move up close to me.
That was a deep one, guys. That was a deep one. I didn't even see.
When you take
comparison.
aliens out of it, we want to find comfort in aliens because maybe they're here for good reasons. Once you say it's a fucking...
The United States military testing alien technology.
Oh, snap. Crazy. Oh, that's cloaking. That's cloaking right now. It looks like a cloaking malfunction. That was cloaking just now.
So
this couple described a star system that they could have no prior knowledge of.
Correct.
Meaning they couldn't have gone to school and learned about this or read about this anywhere.
Correct, exactly.
Later on, we find this star system.
Yeah.
And then who connects the dots?
An astrophysicist or astronomer connects the dots and says, wait a minute, this is Zeta Reticulus.
Whoa.
Okay, so you see this thing. And again, we don't know. It could be advanced technology that we have that you saw.
It could. Right. Science is full of uncertainty. Like what I learned from Professor James Gates yesterday when I talked to him about supersymmetry and stuff in an interview I did with him just yesterday. And that uncertainty is always there. You can never say anything for 100% certainty. And so because of that, there is always a possibility that it's something else.
I had dinner with BOBLAZAR.
Okay.
And my takeaway from the dinner with Bob was going on Rogan, and Rogan asked me if I wanted to come to dinner. So we went to Fogo de Chao.
Wow.
As you do. And Bob was there, and Jeremy Corbell was there as well. Yeah. And Bob believed what he saw. Mm. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not advanced technology that we have, that we've created, but I do believe that he was working on something, and he believed it was alien spacecraft. So I believe that he was being honest.
I could tell you why I believe his story, at least some of it, is because he talked about element 115 before he even discovered element 115.
Yeah,
we're talking about 25 years span in between.
That's why the star system thing is quite interesting to me. So if you are describing things that have not been discovered yet, and then they do become discovered,
exactly,
it adds some.
All right, we're gonna get up out of here. Alright, gang. That was a dope flight. I definitely learned a lot. Hit that like button if you enjoyed yourself. Make sure you share the video. Leave a comment, man. Try to help more people find us. Consider supporting the show. Hit the Cash App. Follow us on all platforms. You understand what I'm saying? We working. There's a lot going on in these quadrants, and nobody's gonna bring it to you the way I'm gonna bring it to you. So I need y'all to tap in, focus in, and let's do this together. You understand what I'm saying? I got a whole bunch of new videos to come. We got all type of flights. We got special guests taking flights. Man, we're gonna be going under the sea. We're using 0-point energy. We're gonna be moving around, gang. Gang, listen, we're gonna be moving around. I need y'all to tap in. Hit the like button, share the video. I can't grow if y'all don't share the video. I can't grow if you don't hit the like button. We got a new show coming up soon. We're gonna go to Dominican Republic and we're gonna sightsee. I need y'all to stick around. Stay locked in.
These advanced technologies have been transferred or collaborated with governments or secretive organizations.